Hi, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of our Live Well podcast. In today's session, we'll be shining a light on menstrual health, a natural and very vital aspect of life that is often shrouded in silence and stigma. Despite being a very common experience, menstruation is frequently still misunderstood, and this leads to a lot of shame and misinformation. To do this with me today, I have two very special members of the Helping Her Foundation, and that's Priyanna Oudit and Celeste Simpson-Rooks. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Firstly, I would like to say that the work that your foundation does, it's amazing. Raising awareness on menstruation, menstrual health, and just helping to bridge that gap for young women and making sure that access to products, it's easier for them. That's some great work.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So,
thank you.
Introduce yourselves before we start.
Of course. So I am Priyanna Oudit. I have been a committee member of Helping Her Foundation for about 3 years now. So a lot of the work that I have been focusing on is the social media aspect, the education and awareness aspect of the foundation, and of course helping in every way possible where needed in this type of work.
I'm Celeste Simpson-Rooks, and I am the Vice President of Helping Her Foundation. I have been with Helping Her since about 8 years now. Our founder, Samantha Duncan, when I came back home, she basically reached out and was like, "Hey Celeste, is this something you'd like to be a part of?" And I jumped on that train one time because I really wanted to be able to give back in Trinidad and Tobago. And since then, it's really been a great experience. I love going out and interacting with the persons that we help, as well as, our events and that kind of stuff. It's been a really great experience.
I mean, on that note, we could chat a little bit about what we do, who Helping Her Foundation is. So Helping Her Foundation is a foundation that focuses on alleviating period poverty in a few ways. The main way that we do it is through distribution of period products to over 1,000 persons who menstruate, and over the years it's been so much more than that. Persons who menstruate across Trinidad and Tobago, and I feel like we've extended efforts to the Caribbean as well.
Yeah, definitely during disaster times and hurricanes, relief and whatnot.
One of the things we focus on is education and awareness, which I mentioned before, and a big part of that is with more awareness, there is less stigma, there is less taboo, there is more understanding. And we've seen from our efforts that, it's a really big deal. There's a lot of people who don't know a lot about menstrual health and periods and period poverty. Yeah.
Sometimes we think just because in our circles we have these conversations, I think we forget that it's not reflective of the Caribbean on a whole in terms of every household or everyone is having these conversations. So the work that you're doing with spreading awareness, it's very, very important. So now that we know a little bit about the work that you do, tell me a little bit about your personal selves. What is one of your favorite things to do on a weekend? Priyanna.
That's a really tough question. I have so many hobbies.
Okay, top 3 things to do.
3, wow.
I like to consider myself a social butterfly, so I like to hang out with friends. I love anything fitness oriented, so I love to go to the gym, do active outdoorsy things. And recently I picked up tennis.
How is that going?
That's been fun. I've been I'm terrible at it, but it's really fun.
Same, terrible.
But it's fun,
But I like to consider myself an athlete, so...
Love that.
Yeah.
Same.
So in my
by
head...
international standards, I'm not. I'm an athlete in my head,
Confidence is everything. Celeste.
I feel like I'm so boring compared to Priyanna because I honestly, so I just had a baby. My son is now 13 months old.
Congratulations.
You're the sweetest boy.
Honestly, I'm biased, but light of my life. And honestly, on a weekend, I just like to spend time with my child, and I like to just play with him. And we go and do activities. We went to the zoo, which was a really nice experience. Actually, I was quite surprised by it. But just
That doesn't sound boring to me at
It
all.
doesn't.
That sounds
very tiring.
Listen, that sounds
Very
like keeping
rewarding.
a whole human being alive and also being a great mom at it. I think you're a
Agreed.
great mom.
You're doing great.
Yeah, I'm trying my
So
best.
don't
Yeah.
ever say your
not
life is boring. Yeah, definitely not. Now, we can't speak about menstrual health without actually going through the menstrual cycle.
Of course.
So, what are the phases and what can we expect when we go through these different phases during the month?
Okay, we'll talk about it.
So we like to preface this with we are not doctors.
Yes.
We are just women learning about our bodies like everyone should.
Same.
Yeah.
So the first phase is going to be your menstrual phase. This is usually day 1 through 6, 1 through 7. It depends on your cycle. But this is actually when your period starts, and this is when you bleed.
This is when you shed the uterine lining. Yeah, so this is when your body is basically releasing the uterine lining. Yeah.
During that time, you may experience pain. You also may be a little bit more groggy.
Yeah.
But sometimes you also have like a burst of energy.
Yeah.
It just depends. During that time, we want to relax. You want to do like yoga,
Flexibility
slow
movements, slow
maybe
movements,
hot
gentle movements.
Light walking.
Light walking, a little jogging, I mean, but it really all comes down to each individual person.
knowing your body.
Yeah, of course. So sometimes people can do a lot around their periods. So again,
Mhm.
as with all the phases that we chat about, this is just general information, but each person is going to be different based on their lifestyle, based on if they have any illnesses or issues.
And that's a good point because also it varies month to month. You know,
Of course.
not every month will be the same experience.
Exactly.
So for me, sometimes the pain is so bad, I just want to curl up in bed and sleep
For sure.
and
For
not
sure.
be active.
Yeah.
Whereas some other months, out and about as normal.
Yeah.
So you're correct, each person is different and it varies for
For
that
sure.
menstrual phase.
For sure. After menstruation, we then move into the follicular phase. This is around days 6 to 13. This is when your energy starts rising again, your estrogen levels start to rise, and you get a little bit more sociable, a little bit more active, and that's when we move into the ovulation phase.
So the ovulation phase is usually day 14 through 16, and this is when your estrogen peaks and the egg is released, and this is when you're most fertile. During this time, you might feel more social, more exciting. This is a great time to do networking, maybe work on a project you're really excited about. I know during this time, sometimes people may feel like they have so much more energy.
Yeah.
So
And then we move into the luteal phase. Dun dun dun. This is I think one of the more dreaded phases, of course.
Definitely.
This is when you start to get your PMS symptoms. This is when your energy levels drop. This is when you start to get cravings. This is when you feel as if like you're a lot more emotional.
definitely.
In these times, I always cry for absolutely no reason
Same.
during my PMS. Yeah, I can't say why. And to this day, that's a question that will remain unanswered. But, so this tends to be a time of relaxation. You want to go similarly to your menstrual phase. You want to start going into gentle movements. You want to
Slow
start
movements,
preparing
yeah.
yourself to now shed your uterine lining, and that's about the end of the phases and menstruation.
And then we just keep going through it over and over again.
I think the most important thing that to take away from this is that you need to know your body. Like you need to
Absolutely.
know when you get your menstrual cycle. You should know when you ovulate. Sometimes people can actually feel it, some people don't. And actually some people don't ovulate every month, which is natural in some ways. It just depends on your body.
Yeah.
So most important thing to take away from this is learning your body and knowing your cycle.
Yeah. And on that note, knowing your body and knowing your cycle, it's also important to know what are the good things that are happening, and also if there's anything negative or bad that you do need to look out for, because there are actually major red flags when it comes to your menstrual cycle.
So what are some of those red flags that we should look out for? And when we do notice it, what should our immediate reaction be?
Okay.
So some of the major red flags you want to look out for are like excessive bleeding. So if you're releasing clots and that kind of stuff, anything larger than your thumbnail, you should be concerned about, as well as if you're getting really bad pains that you can't move through your normal day with, you should consider that. So pains, excessive bleeding.
Also length. The length of your period actually matters.
Right.
So if, for instance,
Your period is like
the length, well, there's a few different ways that length matters. If the length varies every month, that's a problem. If you get your period for 2 days, 1 month, and then 9 or 10 days the other month, that's a red flag to look out for. Also, if you have extremely short, generally, consistently extremely short or extremely long periods, that's over 10 or 11 days or less than 2 days, generally, that's a red flag.
So in that instance, what we would always recommend is seek medical attention.
Absolutely.
You can either go to the health centers, most of them have a day for you to come in to check that, or you can always go privately to a gynecologist, but make sure you have that information that you're tracking, so you could say, hey, this is what's been happening and it's not normal, and I just want some assistance and just make sure things are okay, because that might lead to discovery that you might have some, like maybe PCOS or endometriosis or
adenomyosis.
Right.
Yeah. So looking out for red flags is important. Not all the time, like you mentioned earlier, not all the time would these red flags mean that you have an illness, a menstrual illness. It could mean that maybe 1 month you have a lot more things that are affecting you, maybe
Stress,
lifestyle, stress. etc. However, it is important to just take note of these things. And as Celeste mentioned, you should be noting, either manually noting what your cycle looks like, or there's a ton of apps out there now that help you to manage your symptoms and tell you maybe some things that might be going right, some things might be going wrong. And absolutely always seek medical attention and advice from a professional, a gynecologist. There's health centers and there's private gynecologists that you could reach out to. We have our health centers all listed on the Ministry of Health website, so that's something that you could access openly. And awareness is important. A lot of people, when we go to schools, especially younger girls, when we talk about these red flags, we see so many eyes opening, right? They're like, wow, oh my goodness.
They're probably checking
all the time. I didn't know that was something that I need to be concerned about, And so the more we know is the better that we're able to move forward and have a healthy menstrual cycle. Yeah.
You brought up a very important point there. Besides the education and awareness, would you say that not the conversation not being so normalized right now, that girls, especially young girls, may not want to speak to persons about what's happening with them?
The stigma.
It's
taboo.
For sure, and it happens across like everyone. I remember when I first got my period, I had no idea what was going on. I genuinely thought I was dying. And I didn't even go to my mom. Like, my mom had to realize, and she was like, Celeste, are you okay? And then she told me what was going on. And now as an adult, I'm like, why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you tell me what was happening? And mine actually came the weekend before SEA. I had SEA on a Thursday. So it was just all the stress of SEA that brought mine down. I passed out that week because of
that's actually
the
really
stress on my body. So, it is something that we definitely need to speak to young girls about, so that they are aware and they know, like, hey, this might happen. If this is happening, it's normal, it's natural, it's healthy. And this is what we do in that situation, obviously using menstrual health products, and how to use these products properly also, because that's something that we noticed that
people may not know how to use a pad, use a tampon, use a liner. So a big
and the
part,
proper disposal of it also.
yeah, of course. So a big part of what we do. Actually, every time we do a school visit, there's always giggles and the hee-hees and the, oh my god, like why are you
like throwing
opening
the
that pad in
away
front of me? And we're like, okay, but this is how you open a pad. This is how you put a pad on. This is how you dispose of it, because that's important, you know.
And then we also talk about the flows, so that they know, like, you know, during the beginning of your menstrual cycle, you use the heavier pads if your period is heavier, and then you use normal, and then if it's still a little light, you can use panty liners. And we're talking some about each different products, because I think we take for granted the education we may have.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And so
you mentioned a little bit earlier the stigma, and you mentioned talking about girls and talking to girls, and one of the things that we think is actually really important is also talking to men and boys.
sure.
That's a big part in our efforts for destigmatization and basically destigmatizing the period. Men and boys are an integral part of, or can play an integral role in supporting women, and also in being able to create supportive environments. So we sit with boys and girls as much as we can in the same classroom. We don't separate, because a part of destigmatization is the shame, right? You have to separate, you have to talk to girls.
It's something that needs to be hidden.
In a whisper, you know,
Correct.
you have a period, you have to do this. No, you speak openly and confidently about a woman bleeding, and how the boys and men can learn about it, and how the boys and men can support the women and girls in their lives when they're on their period.
That's actually important, I believe, for adults as well now, who may not have had that awareness or education when they were younger. Recently, you know, even myself, you know, you're aware that this is natural, but sometimes there are things that you may do that you're not aware of, where you're still hiding or feeling some sort of shame.
When you put your pad in a bag,
A very
that's a
cutesy bag.
hidden bag, to walk to the washroom, to change your pad in a male and female environment. Yeah, definitely.
Recently, what I did, and I had to stop myself, I was packing everything to come to work, and I was using a tote bag that doesn't have a zip, and I was hustling, so I just threw a box of tampons in there. When I came to work, I removed my hoodie and I noticed the box. Immediately, I just tried to grab it and hide it into my book bag.
Oh my goodness.
So those little things make me realize that it's so ingrained in us, and we don't even realize that those little things contribute to us still feeling some sort of shame.
Yeah.
Like we should hide the fact that
really.
we have a period every month.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like we all have either that workplace or just general public story of hiding your period products. And I mean,
I think what's really important is just going out there and chatting about it. I remember one time I was in a grocery and I saw this. I guessed he was a dad, because he was standing there looking at the product, so confused. And I walked up to him and I was like, "Do you need some help?" And he's like, "Yes, my daughter just got her period and I have no idea where to start." And I was like, "Okay, so this is the first time?" He's like, "Yes, this is the first time." I was like, "All right, so she's probably gonna want some heavy pads." And I was like, "She's probably also gonna want some light pads." I was like, "She's a little bit younger, so you don't need the bigger ones." So you know, I gave him a couple of products and I was like, "If you need any, like, do you have any questions?" And he's like, "Thank you so much." He's like, "Because I had no idea where to begin."
I love
I was
that
like,
you did
more than
that.
happy to assist. I was like, this is part of what we do in helping her, and you know, it was nice that I was able to help him in that moment. So I think it is really important to educate the men and boys.
absolutely. A part of when we had to do our bios for our social media posts for like each of the committee members, we each had to do like a fun fact about ourselves, right? And I thought about like a ton of fun facts, but I think one of the most period-oriented fun fact about myself that I end up actually including in my bio was the fact that I love to talk very openly in especially male-dominated spaces about periods. I would bring up the topic of periods. I would openly speak about when I am on my period, I would speak about, and even on my social media platforms, like when I'm posting things about training and fitness, I speak about where I am in my cycle, how that's impacting me right now. And a big part of that is just me applying this knowledge to my own life, but also letting people know it's really okay to talk about it. It feels like I have to get over a little that same like aspect of the ingrained like shame sometimes.
Yes.
And I always have to just remind myself, no, just jump past that barrier. That barrier is what I just need to remove because it's normal. It's okay. My luteal phase has me really tired and low energy in the gym. My follicular phase, I feel like I could lift 2 times my body weight in squats, you know? Like, I mean, whether it's actually realistic or not, it's another thing.
I'm sure it is.
But yeah, I mean, talking in every space that I could get the chance about periods is a part of personally making it my mission to normalize. And I think that that's what everyone looking on can decide to do. It is a scary thing. You want to, you're deciding there that you're going to stop stigmatizing the period. You want to be a part of the change that is a positive change. Talk about periods. Talk to the boys and the men in your life about period. Learn more about it. There are resources through our Ministry of Health. There are a lot of online resources. Now, it's also important to note that not everything you see online is true.
All these scrolls on TikTok or the Instagram posts.
Of TikTok university graduates here, but there are certain resources that I think are coming from a place of education and research and awareness. There's this one doctor, her name is Dr. Jen Gunter. I don't know if you've ever heard about her. A lot of what she does is actually speak about the myths around women's health and then breaking down those myths to what the truth and the statistics and the science actually show. So that is one resource that I tend to use when I'm looking for period-related or women's health-related things. Of course, speaking to local doctors, women, gynecologists, doctors who have hands-on experience. And well, I use the Period Lab on Instagram. There's a lot of research and development around women's health and period health, which brings us to the point of like a major lack of information.
Yes, with women. Anything related to women, you find that the research is just not there. Yeah, agreed.
So only in the 21st century did they start testing period products with actual period blood. After period products have been around for decades and decades and decades. I have no idea what they tested it before, but you know, they're finally using period blood to test period products. I mean, that's beyond mind, right? Like it's mind blowing. Yeah.
As you say decades, it's also really interesting to talk to the older generation about periods. So I have a group of aunts that every Saturday they get together and they play cards. We call them the Silver Foxes.
That's so cute.
I remember speaking with them about it and they were like, "What? You talk about your period?" And I would be like, "Yes." And then they would speak about products that they would use and they were like, "No, you're not supposed to talk about it." And every time I would go and speak to them about it, like it would always be like a kiki kaka, but it was also very interesting to learn like what they used when they were younger to what it is now. And they always made jokes that they were going to come to our events and dress up as different pads, and I'm just like, I love it. I love the conversation around it, but it was nice to, you know,
you're normalizing the period with them too, which is really
yes.
cool.
And they're like,
awesome.
80.
Oh,
Yeah,
Silver Foxes, big up your Celeste aunties.
Since we're on the topic of the period products as well, that brings up the cost factor of it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I purchase products, I have to think to myself, how does someone with multiple women in the household, in the same household, how are they affording to buy products monthly for every person? And every person will have different needs, as we mentioned, whether it's they need maxi, they need something lighter. So you're buying different products for different persons every single month.
And the other thing you also have to consider is some persons may have an allergy.
Yeah.
Correct.
So some persons may not be able to use certain products.
Yeah.
So it is very expensive, and that is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
We actually have a link on our website as well as on our Instagram page. If you reach out and you just request a donation, we will put together products and we will get it to your door, because we don't want it to be that you have to choose either between lunch or going to work and having your period.
And that's a very real scenario. There have been women who would speak about the fact that they choose between food and period products in lower income households. I mean, that's insane to think about, and we are
And this
in
is
a really
natural.
privileged space and position to not even have to think about that. It's like a worry for like our monthly expenses. And that's why you're right. I mean, what Helping Your Foundation does is supplement that cost. We may not be able to serve every person with every single product that they
But we
can, but of
definitely
course we
try.
try. Yeah, I mean, there's one statistic about that published in the news today a while ago about the fact that over 50% of the women who responded to this survey spoke about the fact that period products were not affordable,
yeah.
were not
It's
considered
not.
affordable. And can you imagine that there's a possibility that more than half of the women in this country can't afford a product that is literally helping them to function in their everyday lives if they
And
have
it's
a
literally
period?
a health product.
Yeah.
You can get free condoms in the health center, but you may not necessarily be able to get free menstrual health products. And I think that is what we really need to change. And we want to make sure that everyone has access, regardless of your income.
Menstrual equity.
It's a natural, as we said, part of life. So not having access because you can't afford it, as we said, that
It's
is
unfair.
very unfair to think about.
Absolutely.
While we cannot, I mean, yes, we can advocate for change. Right now, that's probably not going to happen. And as you said, there's only so much reach you can have with your organization. How then can persons make an impact or try to, make those products easily accessible for persons?
Of course.
So Helping Your Foundation runs solely based on donations. Without our corporate as well as individuals who donate to us, we would not be able to do the work that we do. So a way that you can help is definitely to make a donation, either products or monetary. We do find that monetary goes a little bit further because we do team up with the different distributors, and a lot of times they do give us discounts.
Yeah.
So it's nice because our buying power is more, and it also means that maybe the pharmacy or the grocery that you're purchasing from doesn't get any profit from it. We go straight to the distributors.
Yeah. You could go onto our website. Anyone who is trying to find any information about Helping Your Foundation, we have Instagram and Facebook pages and a TikTok. But our website is where you can go and you could click links to either become a person who receives donations from us, so you could request a donation, or you can also donate to the cause. And like Celeste said, the donations are what keep us going. We have a
10 years now.
Yeah, so every year we do one major fundraiser. And so that fundraiser is a big effort in like getting raising the funds to actually continue our efforts. But again, we rely on corporate sponsorships, corporate donations, monetary and product donations, so that we could put that into our pool of products to then distribute. We do distributions quarterly.
And when we do give products, we try and give you for a quarter.
Okay.
For us, we all work full-time jobs, and we are using our resources as efficiently as we can. So instead of having someone go out every month, we have our delivery driver and our mobile pad bank go out every quarter, and he goes out and he gives to the individuals that do request. And a big part of that, why we did the mobile pad bank, is to start the conversation, because it's literally bright pink.
I love it, by the way. I saw it on your social media feed and it is great.
The Padmobile, I like to call it. But that was a really big milestone that we achieved last year after our fundraising efforts. I mean, it was a while in the mix in working.
Lots of fundraising.
Yeah. But
that on the road is a major achievement for us.
It is. So congratulations to your foundation on that.
Thank you.
therefore, so donations would be one aspect where persons can support. Interestingly enough, I saw in an office space, what they decided to do was put little boxes in the washrooms, and each month different persons will take the opportunity and actually purchase products from their own pocket and put. And at first I thought it was, a bit strange to do. However, I saw the need for it one day when I was in the office itself, and someone actually came up to me and whispered, "Hi, do you have any pads that I can have?"
Oh, wow, yeah.
So you would think that,
we take for granted.
we do.
Yeah.
It was like
It's like a pad exchange.
It was
that's
a
really cool.
moment of
Sometimes you don't
reflection for me
people
there
do
that
Yeah.
I come from a place of privilege where I am able to afford these products.
Absolutely.
So I
Or even
understood.
remember, because sometimes your period might come one day and you're expecting
Mhm.
2 days later,
So I understood at that moment what those persons were doing
Yeah.
was very important.
Yeah.
You can afford to buy products, and you work in a space where external persons are coming in, students are coming in,
Yeah.
and they made it available for them. So I think that's a great idea for other persons to maybe try to implement, depending on where they work or
Yeah.
spaces where you have young persons coming in often to use
Yeah.
a washroom or any sort of
Yeah.
facility like that.
There's this thing called a period-friendly workspace or workplace. And that is one of the aspects of a period-friendly workplace.
Okay, so there's an actual
There's
term
an
for
actual
it.
thing. Yeah, I'm not sure where it was coined or the origin, but there is a thing called a period-friendly workplace, and that is either the organization itself can purchase period products and have it in the women's bathroom. It could be a community effort, as in each employee could add or take pads from the, let's say that pad space, the collection space. And some workspaces even go as far as, allowing in probably an informal way, like menstrual leave, if there are persons who have any major issues during their period. So there are lots of ways that workspaces and organizations can contribute.
What we've also had is like organizations come together and they're like, you know what, we want to donate to your foundation.
Yeah.
And they would collect products in-house.
Yeah,
and then they would call us and be like, hey, we did a drive for maybe this month or 2 months, whatnot. And they would call us, and those products, they donate the products to us, and then we'll be able to help more women. So
Yeah.
That's really great. And thank you both for coming here today and helping to continue spread the awareness and to ignite the conversation so that persons can continue. I hope that our listeners would take something from this episode and not just let it end there, but also start the conversation in your own spaces and your own communities. There's no shame with having a period. It's a very natural part of life. Thank you again, both of you. And do you have anything that you would like to say to just leave our listeners with today?
Of course, yeah. So as you said, continue the conversation. Start the conversation, continue it. If you need any assistance or resources, we have persons who are I would say specialists in the field. You can always feel free to reach out to the Helping Her Foundation social media pages, the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok. We are here as a resource. We are learning as much as you are. We try to impart whatever knowledge and information that we have, and we'd be happy to help you to start the conversation.
other than that, if you wanted to get involved and you wanted to donate, you could also reach out on the website or through our social media pages. And our website is www.helpingherfoundation.org.
Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you everyone for our next episode.